The pilgrimage for the Feast of Passover. The Feast of Passover is the most important feast for the Jews, commemorating God's deliverance of them from slavery in Egypt. It is one of the 3 pilgrimage feasts, along with the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of Tabernacles, that all adult Jewish males, according to the law, were obliged to attend at the temple in Jerusalem. Joseph and Mary's annual pilgrimage, despite the long journey from Nazareth, demonstrates the piety and strict adherence to the law of the Holy Family. The age of 12 is the threshold for childhood. The following year, 13 years old, is when a Jewish boy officially takes on religious responsibility, becoming a son of the law, bar mitzvah. St. Luke's choice to record this event at the age of 12 is not only to indicate the observance of custom but also to emphasize that Jesus' awareness of his divine mission began to emerge just before the threshold of adulthood. The loss. After the feast, thousands of pilgrims left Jerusalem at the same time. They usually traveled in large groups according to family, clan, and village for safety. Women and younger children often went ahead, followed by the men. Joseph and Mary thought Jesus was traveling with a group of friends or relatives, a reasonable assumption in the context of the large crowd. It was not until they stopped for the night that Joseph and Mary realized Jesus was missing. Their anxiety led them to turn back to Jerusalem. The search lasted 3 days, which carries deep symbolic meaning in the Bible, often linked to a major event or the resurrection. For the Virgin Mary, this was a prophetic experience of the pain of losing her son, a foretaste of the death and loss over the 3 days to come, reflecting the mother's suffering. The dialogue in the temple. The temple in Jerusalem is the spiritual center and the house of God. Jesus' decision to stay there demonstrates his absolute priority for matters concerning God. Sitting among the teachers, Jesus did not stand up to teach but sat, listening and asking questions. This is the posture of a serious and eager disciple, showing respect for the religious leaders. However, it was his intelligence and answers that astonished everyone, including the most learned scholars. Jesus did not just understand the outer letter of the law but also understood the spirit of the law with a profound insight far superior to his age. The mother's complaint and Jesus' answer. The mother's complaint. Mary's words expressed the natural mix of love, relief, and reprimand from a mother after extreme distress. She emphasized the love and anxiety of Joseph, referred to as your father, according to law and custom, and of herself. Jesus' answer. This is the first public affirmation of Jesus' divinity in the Gospel. My Father. This answer established a relationship higher than the earthly family bond. He was speaking of God as his Father. My Father's business, affairs. This Greek phrase can be translated as, the things belonging to my Father, or, in my Father's house. It shows that Jesus was not simply lost, but deliberately stayed to do the work belonging to his Father in the temple. The fact that Joseph and Mary did not understand Jesus' words indicates that the mystery of the Incarnation was still a gradual revelation, even to those closest to him. Although Mary knew Jesus was the Son of God, this statement still surpassed her full understanding of his specific path and mission at that time. This event is a crucial prelude, marking Jesus' mature awareness of his role as the Messiah, while also preparing for the next 18 years of his hidden life before he began his public ministry. The meaning and initial awareness of Jesus' mission. Jesus' reply was not a reproach, but an affirmation of his divinity and mission before his earthly parents. This is the first recorded instance where Jesus publicly unveiled his divine identity and absolute priority. In the Jewish tradition, God was often referred to as Father in a collective sense, Father of the people of Israel, or metaphorically. However, Jesus used the term, my Father, in a personal, intimate, and unique way. Distinction from Joseph. In this way, he clearly distinguished between Joseph, his earthly foster father, and God, his true and eternal Father. This represents the priority of the identity of the Son of God over the role of the earthly son. This affirmation shows that Jesus, even at the age of 12, had a complete awareness of his divine identity, that he is the incarnate Word, the only begotten Son of God. The temple is my Father's house. Jesus called the temple in Jerusalem, my Father's house. This is not just a physical structure, but the place where God dwells. Jesus' refusal to leave demonstrates his innate yearning and desire for God's presence. The temple was his place, where he felt compelled to stay. The act of staying behind was not unconscious or rebellious, but a deliberate action driven by the awareness of his identity and mission. He had to prioritize being in the Father's house over traveling with his earthly family. My Father's business, affairs. This refers to the priority of action according to God's will. Even before beginning his public ministry, later teaching, healing, and dying, Jesus clearly established that his life must be wholly directed towards fulfilling the will of God the Father. At the age of 12, the Father's business Jesus was carrying out included learning and questioning, demonstrating a deep understanding of the Scriptures and the law, preparing for his future role as teacher, rabbi, publicly testifying to his relationship with God before the teachers of the law. This event is the first proclamation, foreshadowing that the relationship between Jesus and Joseph, Mary would be subordinated to the relationship between Jesus and God the Father. The mission of salvation is the supreme matter that he must pursue, even if it causes suffering, Mary's anxiety, or transcends the understanding of his dearest loved ones. This is a pivotal moment where the incarnate Word first unveiled his awareness of his mission, opening the path leading to the work of redemption to come. Jesus' wisdom and growth. Jesus' wisdom. This event demonstrates the extraordinary development in Jesus' intellect and spirituality, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature, and in favor with God and man. Even while conscious of his divinity and mission, Jesus obeyed his parents, returned to Nazareth, and lived a hidden life until he was 30 years old. This shows the balance between his divine and human natures. The role of Mary, the fact that the Virgin Mary kept all these things in her heart, indicates that she was the one who meditated upon and preserved the mysteries concerning her Son. The event of Jesus at age 12 in the temple is the sole bridge between his childhood and his period of public ministry, highlighting his spiritual maturity and awareness of the mission of salvation that existed from a very early age. If you love this content, please help my channel grow by subscribing now. Thank you very much.